Somewhere along the way, we were taught to give, and we did. Freely, lovingly, sometimes out of duty, sometimes out of habit. We gave our time, our patience, our bodies, our listening ears, our sleep. And often we gave our energy without even knowing it had limits. We gave and gave, believing that love meant sacrifice, that presence meant being available, that saying yes was always the right thing to do. But now here you are, perhaps a little more tired than you expected to be at this season of life. Not just physically, there's a deeper tired, the kind that sleep doesn't fix, the kind that comes from being on call emotionally for decades, the kind that comes from rarely, if ever, putting yourself at the center of your own life. And now you're wondering quietly, tenderly, is there a way back to me? Can I gently take back what I've given away too freely? You can, and it begins with boundaries. Chapter 1. Why you're so tired, and it's not just physical. There's a kind of tired that doesn't show up in blood work. That doesn't go away with a nap. That isn't solved by vitamins or more water or a few early nights. You know that kind of tired, the kind that lives in your bones, in the space behind your eyes, in the middle of your chest. It's the tired that comes from years, maybe decades, of being everything for everyone. And yet, we often write it off. We say, I'm just getting older. This is just how it goes. My body's slowing down. My mind doesn't feel as sharp. We accept this exhaustion like it's a natural part of aging. But deep down, you might wonder quietly, is this really all age? Or is this something else? Let me offer something. What if it's not just about getting older? What if part of what you're feeling is accumulated emotional exhaustion? What if it's the result of a life spent constantly showing up for others without ever stopping to ask, what do I need? There's a weariness that comes from being the reliable one, the responsible one, the fixer, the listener, the one who says yes, even when you're already stretched thin. Some of that started so long ago, you may not even realize it's been happening. Maybe you were raised in a time when being helpful wasn't optional. It was expected. Maybe you learned early on that good people don't make waves, that kindness means selflessness, that being needed is how you stay connected. You may have raised children, held a household together, tended to aging parents, worked jobs that demanded more than they gave, supported friends through hard times, answered late-night calls, gave rides, baked for events, volunteered when no one else stepped up. You may have been the one who never asked for help, even when you were quietly falling apart. And now, here you are, later in life, with time that technically belongs to you. But the habits of overgiving haven't gone anywhere, and neither has the exhaustion. You might notice you wake up tired, that things you used to do with ease now feel heavy, that even social gatherings you once enjoyed now feel draining instead of nourishing. You might find yourself resenting little things, but feeling guilty for that resentment. Or you feel a strange emptiness that you can't quite explain. And underneath all of that, you wonder, what happened to my energy? You didn't lose it overnight. It left in tiny pieces. Every time you said yes when you meant no. Every time you smiled when you were aching inside. Every time you bit your tongue to keep the peace. Every time you put yourself last on your own list. And it's not your fault. You were doing what you were taught, what kept you loved, what made you safe, what held the family together, what kept the peace in your relationships. But now something is shifting. You're starting to feel the cost. You're starting to realize that the version of you who could do everything for everyone came at a price. And you're the one who's been paying it. The truth is you have nothing to prove anymore. Not to anyone. Not to your grown children. Not to your old friends. Not to your pestis. Not even to yourself. What you need now isn't more willpower. It's rest, it's quiet, it's space, it's truth. And what's waiting for you on the other side of this fatigue isn't just more energy, it's freedom to feel again, to choose again, to finally let yourself matter. But first, you need to name what no one ever named for you. You are not just tired because of time. You are tired because you've been living outside your limits for too long. And that's where boundaries begin. Not as rules, not as punishments, but as medicine, as repair, as a return to your natural rhythm. Over the coming weeks, you'll begin to notice what drains you and what fills you. You'll learn to give without depletion, to love without losing yourself, to serve without self-sacrifice. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about letting yourself in. And it starts here with the simple, sacred truth. You are allowed to stop being tired. You are allowed to reclaim what was always yours. You are allowed to come back to yourself. And you don't have to do it all at once. You just have to begin. Chapter 2, Reframing Boundaries as Love. We hear the word boundary and something clenches in the chest. It feels like such a sharp word, doesn't it? Like it was built for confrontation. Like it's about pushing people away, about closing doors, about saying, no, no, no. No, but that isn't what boundaries really are. Not at their heart. Because boundaries, when we understand them gently, aren't about shutting people out. They're about inviting ourselves in. We set boundaries not because we don't love others, but because we are finally learning to love ourselves too. For so long, maybe you equated love with giving, with being available, with saying yes, with putting others' needs before your own. And maybe it worked for a while. Maybe people praised you for how helpful, how thoughtful, how dependable you were. But over time, that love starts to ache because real love, healthy love, includes space. It includes choice. It includes rest. And it includes truth. And the truth is, even the most generous heart has limits. Even the kindest soul runs dry if they are never allowed to refill. What if boundaries aren't selfish at all? What if they are the most honest kind of love? Love that says, I want to be there for you, but not at the cost of myself. Love that says, I care enough about this relationship to keep it clean, not heavy with resentment. Love that says, I am not infinite, and that's okay. We weren't taught this. Many of us grew up with examples of silent sacrifice. Mothers who never stopped. Fathers who never paused. Caregivers who were praised for how much they could carry, not how well they cared for themselves. So we learned to equate worth with how much we could take on, how little we could complain, how useful we could be. But usefulness is not love. Productivity is not presence. Being needed is not the same as being known. And somewhere along the way, you might have started to feel invisible inside your own life. So here's the reframe. Boundaries are not rules to control others. They are commitments you make to honor yourself. They sound like, I won't take phone calls after 8 p.m. because I need that time to unwind. I'm no longer able to attend every family event. I'll choose what feels nourishing for me. I love you, and I need some quiet time after our visit to reset. I'm learning to check in with myself before I commit to anything. They are not declarations of war. They are declarations of value, of your time, your energy, your emotional well-being. Some people will not understand, especially if they've benefited from your lack of boundaries, especially if you have always said yes, always been available, always said, it's fine, I can do it. But you are allowed to change the rules mid-game, especially if the game has been hurting you. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you begin loving them from a place that doesn't leave you empty. Imagine what it would feel like to say yes only when you meant it. Imagine being in a conversation and not feeling responsible for managing the other person's emotions. Imagine going through your week and knowing you've built in time to breathe, to think, to rest, to reflect, not because someone gave you permission, but because you did. That is the quiet power of boundaries. They restore you to yourself. And slowly, without force, you begin to reclaim something precious. You begin to reclaim clarity. You begin to reclaim calm. You begin to reclaim a version of you who is not always performing, fixing, or managing, but simply being. That is love too. And when boundaries are grounded in love, love for yourself and love for others, you'll begin to see they don't create distance. They create depth. You no longer feel pulled in a dozen directions. You no longer resent the people you care about. You no longer feel like a stranger inside your own schedule. Instead, you feel rooted, clear, honest. So let this be the truth you carry with you today. Boundaries are not about becoming colder. They are about becoming more whole. They are how you continue to love without losing yourself in the process. Chapter 3, The Hidden Cost of People-Pleasing, Overcommitting, and Burnout. It often starts so quietly, so innocently. You say yes when you mean maybe. You offer help when no one asks. You fill the silence with support, with service, with solutions. You do it because it's who you've always been, because it feels good to be dependable, because it's what was expected, because if you didn't do it, who would? And somewhere along the way, it stops being a choice. It becomes a reflex. You catch yourself saying, sure, I can do that, while something in your stomach tightens. You offer your time, your energy, your attention before you even check in with yourself. You rearrange your needs so quietly that no one even notices the sacrifice. And after years of this, you look up and realize you're exhausted, not from any single moment, but from a lifetime of overextending. This is the hidden cost of people-pleasing. It's not just about being nice, it's about slowly silencing yourself so others stay comfortable. You become the peacemaker, the one who smooths things over, the one who doesn't rock the boat, even when you feel hurt, even when you feel forgotten, even when you feel like you're disappearing into the background of your own life. And what makes it so painful is that no one sees the cost. They see the calm face, the smile, the helpful hands, the steady presence. They don't see the weight in your chest when you say yes, but want to say no. They don't see the resentment that simmers beneath the surface. They don't see how you lie awake at night, replaying conversations, worrying you said the wrong thing, that maybe someone is upset, that maybe you're too much or not enough. You've learned to keep the peace outside, even if it means losing the peace inside. And then there's overcommitting. This one is tricky because sometimes it doesn't look like burnout. It looks like generosity. It looks like involvement. It looks like you being everywhere, doing everything, holding everyone together. But underneath it is something else, a fear, perhaps, that if you slow down, something will fall apart, that if you say no, you'll disappoint someone, that if you take time for yourself, you'll be seen as selfish, lazy, ungrateful. And so you keep going, you stay busy, you stay helpful, you stay available, until one day you realize you've said yes to so many things that you no longer have space for yourself. Your schedule is full, but your spirit is depleted. You're present, but you're not really here. And burnout is what happens when the giving never ends. It's when even the smallest request feels like too much. It's when you start avoiding phone calls, when you sigh before opening your inbox, when the thought of one more obligation makes you want to hide. But you don't always know it's burnout because you've lived this way for so long. You've adapted. You've called it being a good friend, a good parent, a good partner, a good person. No one told you that good doesn't have to mean drained. Burnout isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet disconnection from yourself, a dullness, a lack of joy in things you once loved, a shrinking of your world, your laughter, your creativity. And maybe no one notices because you still show up. you still smile, you still get things done, but deep down, you feel it. You carry the weight of it every day. And I want you to hear this clearly. You were never meant to live this way. You were never meant to constantly prove your worth by what you do for others. You were never meant to pour endlessly without ever being poured into. You were never meant to be a silent support beam for everyone else's life while yours quietly crumbles. You were meant to be whole, to be heard, to rest, to have boundaries, to say no without apology, to receive as much as you give. And here's the beautiful truth. It's not too late to shift. You can begin to gently loosen the grip of people-pleasing. You can start questioning the reflexive yes. You can slow the cycle of overcommitting. You can honor the signals of burnout and choose rest without guilt. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean turning away from those you love. It means including yourself in the equation. It means recognizing that your energy is sacred, that your peace is worth protecting, that your time is precious, not just because you're getting older, but because your life is valuable. And the first step isn't to overhaul everything. It's simply to notice. Notice when your yes feels heavy. Notice when your calendar overwhelms you. Notice when your body whispers enough, because those whispers, that's you coming back to yourself. That's the beginning of freedom. Chapter 4, Boundaries in Practice, Scripts for Real-Life Moments. Let's make this real, because theory is beautiful, but your life happens in conversations, in phone calls, in everyday interactions where old habits want to return. Here's a gentle way to say no. I've been learning to listen to my energy lately. I need a little more rest, so I won't be able to take that on right now. Or try this. I love being part of things, but I also need time to recharge. Can we talk about what works for both of us? The key is not perfection. The key is clarity and kindness. Some people will push back, not because they don't love you, but because they've benefited from your overgiving. Stay grounded, stay kind, but stay firm. You are allowed to choose yourself without apology. Chapter 5, the 30-Day Energy Reclamation Challenge. Let me ask you something tender. When was the last time you made yourself the center of your own attention for more than a moment? Not because you were ill, not because you had no other choice, but because you chose to. Because you said, I matter enough to deserve my own care, my own presence, my own attention. That's what this challenge is. Not a race, not a test, not another thing to add to your list. This is your quiet rebellion against years of depletion. It's your invitation back to yourself. Over the next 30 days, you are going to take yourself seriously, lovingly. You're going to look at where your energy has been leaking and begin patching the holes, not by force, but by noticing. Not by fixing everything, but by showing up slowly and choosing a different response. We're going to walk this in 4 gentle weeks. Week 1, awareness and soft withdrawal. This first week is about waking up, not in a jarring way, but in the way morning light spills into a room and slowly shifts the shape of things. You'll begin to notice when your shoulders tense during certain conversations. Notice how you feel when you agree to something you didn't want to say yes to. Notice the quiet voice that says, I don't want to, but I'm afraid of disappointing them. Just observe. Don't change anything yet. There's power in awareness. You're building clarity. At the end of each day, ask yourself, where did my energy go today? Did anything refill me, even a little? What drained me? Write it down. Sit with it. Then begin to gently step back. If you usually respond to messages right away, wait a little. If you feel the need to fix someone's bad mood, try sitting in silence instead. If you're asked to help with something you don't have the bandwidth for, try saying, let me get back to you. This is the soft withdrawal from overfunctioning. You are not disappearing. You are returning. Week 2, clarity and courage. Now that you're aware of what's draining you, it's time to begin naming it, speaking the truth of your needs, perhaps for the first time in a long time. This is where courage comes in, not the kind that feels brave, the kind that feels shaky but honest. Begin to use simple language to name your limits. I need more rest. I can't take that on. I'm trying to honor my capacity right now. That no longer feels like a good fit for me. These are not selfish statements. These are the truths of someone reclaiming their health, their presence, their energy. You may feel guilty. You may second guess yourself. That's okay. You're not doing it wrong. You're just breaking patterns that have been alive for decades. Each time you honor your energy instead of ignoring it, you are creating new roots, stronger ones, healthier ones. And remember, not everyone will like the changes, but you are not here to be endlessly accommodating. You are here to live, not just serve. Keep journaling. Keep checking in. Ask, what did I need today that I ignored? What did I protect today with my no? Week 3, strengthening the muscle. This is where things start to shift. By now, your awareness is clearer. You've spoken some truths, you've made space, and now you practice holding the line. The temptation to slip back into old roles will come. The desire to smooth things over, the urge to over-explain, that familiar pull to make sure no one's upset with you. Pause, breathe, remind yourself, I am safe to disappoint others if it means not abandoning myself. You are building the muscle of emotional self-trust. Each time you say no and stay steady, you're reinforcing that your energy matters. You may feel stronger. You may feel resistance. You may feel lonely. All of these are natural. Reach for your journal. Write without editing. Today I held my boundary as therapy. And I feel, today I bent my boundary and I noticed. Today I felt proud of myself when this is not perfection. This is practice, and practice becomes rhythm. Week 4, integration and reflection. This final week is not about finishing anything. It's about absorbing everything. This is where you begin to notice how your body feels lighter, how your calendar feels more spacious, how your conversations feel more honest. Take time to look back, go through your notes, your journal entries. Look at what changed, how you responded differently, where your clarity sharpened, where your peace returned. You may even grieve again, realizing how long you've gone without this level of care. That's okay. Let it come. That grief is cleansing. It means you're waking up to what you truly deserve. And now you choose what stays. Which new boundaries are becoming permanent? Which habits feel like home now? Which old obligations can you release for good? You are no longer living from default. You are choosing. That is freedom. This last week, ask yourself each evening, what felt aligned with my energy today? Where did I listen to my needs? What surprised me about this process? And finally, who am I becoming when I say yes to myself? This isn't a finish line. There's no before and after. There's just you, learning, changing, becoming more honest with how you live and love. If this spoke to you, I'd love for you to be part of this growing community. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. This space is for healing, for reflection, for real connection. Thank you for being here.